Hi, I'm Reverend Jake Zabel, and welcome to Children's Bible Stories. Alright children, our Bible story for today is the story of Gideon and Baal, and join with me again is my helper Acolyte Heinrich.
Hello.
And so in our previous video we talked about how God had called Gideon to be a judge to help rescue Israel and liberate them from the Midianites. And so on the day that Gideon was called, that night, the Lord came to him and said to take your father's young bull, the second bull of 7 years, and tear down the altar of Baal that your father has, and cut down the wooden image that is beside it. So Gideon's father had a bull that was set aside to be sacrificed to Baal, and he had a statue of Baal and a wooden image, and Gideon was told to go and destroy them. And then God said, you are to build an altar to the Lord your God on the top of this rock. So that's the rock that Gideon had previously done the sacrifice on, which was near the terebinth tree outside. And so Gideon was to turn that rock into an altar to the Lord. And he was to take the wood from the image of Baal, and he was to sacrifice the bull on the altar to the Lord, and he was to use the Baal statue as wood to burn for the sacrifice. And so Gideon then, he went to do this, but he was afraid. He was like, oh, I'm a little bit scared. I don't want to do this because if I get caught, I'm going to be in big trouble. So he did two things. One, he called together 10 men, 10 servants. So Gideon's father owned a Baal statue, and he also had at least 10 servants for Gideon to go and get, possibly more servants. So this would suggest that maybe Gideon's father was a little bit wealthy. And so Gideon, being afraid that he might get in trouble for doing this, goes and gets the 10 servants to come and help him to tear down Baal's statue. And he also does it under the cover of night because he doesn't want to get caught, because he's worried that the people of the city who are worshipping Baal might come and hurt him or stop him doing this. So Gideon and his 10 servants, they go and they smash down the statue of Baal, and they go and they get the bull and they sacrifice it, and they go to the rock that Gideon had previously sacrificed on, and they burn the statue of Baal to make a fire, and they put the meat of the bull on, and they perform a sacrifice to the Lord instead. Now the next morning, the men of the village came out, and they saw that the second bull that had been set aside to be sacrificed to Baal was missing, and they noticed that Baal's statue was missing, and then they found that near this rock, Baal's statue and the bull had been burnt up as a sacrifice. And they were like, what's going on? Who could do such a horrible thing and destroy our beloved Baal statue? And they went and they interrogated the servants, and they found out that it was Gideon who'd done this. And so the men of the village called out Gideon's father Joash, and they said, bring to us your son Gideon, because they were very angry at Gideon, and they wanted his father to bring him out so they could punish him. But Joash responded and said, would you plead for Baal? Would you save him? Let one who would plead for him be put to death by morning. If he is a god, then let him plead for himself, because his altar has been torn down. So Joash says, look, if Baal is the one true God, then wouldn't he stop Gideon himself from tearing down the statue? Wouldn't he send punishment upon Gideon? You guys think that you need to take it upon yourselves to defend Baal. But if Baal was a real god, he would defend himself. And if he doesn't, then I guess he's a false god. And so it was from that day on that Gideon was now known as Jerubbaal, which means let Baal plead against him. In other words, saying, look, if Baal is a real god, then let him come and punish Gideon. And so then that, children, is the story of Gideon and Baal. I've been your host, Reverend Jake Zabel. Thank you again, Heinrich, for your help. Goodbye and God bless.